Section 7.3, the First Millennial Day, approximately 3,977 years BC to 2,978 years BC. Table 7.1, 1,000-year days. As we go through the next few sections, we will continue to fill in this chart. It lines up the days of creation with the millennial days and the millennial feasts. At the expense of sounding like a broken record, I just want to remind everyone that the dates I use in this study are meant to be approximate. They have been taken from the timeline at www.abdicate.net. The purple line, which divides the 6th day from the 7th day, shows the approximate location of the rapture, just before the Millennial Reign. The red line at the end of the 7th day shows the time of the white throne judgment, just after the Millennial Reign. In the preceding sections, we have looked at the 7th day of creation, the day of rest, when God rested from all the work which he had made. This 7th day corresponds to the 7th millennium, when Jesus reigns for 1,000 years and the world has rest while the devil is chained up. And also with the millennial feast, the Feast of Tabernacles, when we dwell with Jesus for 1,000 years. First day of creation, Genesis 1, 1-5. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved on the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided between the light and the darkness. And God called the light day, and he called the darkness night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Darkness and light. In the first 1,000 years of the Earth's history, we have only 5 chapters of the Bible and one major recorded event, the fall of Adam and Eve, and therefore all of humankind, from perfect obedience and innocence to the guilt of disobedience and sin and death. We have a fall from light to darkness. There are many verses in the Bible where darkness represents sin, especially in the book of Proverbs. It is interesting to note that God does not create the darkness, because the darkness is the absence of light. God creates the light and then divides the light from the darkness. If he had not divided between the light and the darkness, there would have been no darkness, because light by its physical nature eliminates darkness. You see this every day in any room with a light. Once the light is turned on, the darkness in the room is eliminated, except in areas which are divided from the light. Anywhere the light is blocked, shadows remain. There needed to be a division between the light and the darkness on that first day of creation for darkness to exist. God creates Adam and Eve in the light, but they choose to move to darkness. Disobedience was their sin. It sprung from a desire to be like God and to have wisdom. It was not a sin to eat fruit. They could eat many kinds of fruit. It was a sin to eat the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, because Adam had been told not to eat it. I don't claim to know what the forbidden fruit really was, but I do believe that it was a real physical fruit. I also believe that the seeds of sin and death were held within it. They were probably spiritual seeds, but just because something is spiritual does not mean that it is not real. In fact, the spiritual things of this world are the things which will last: our spirits, our love for each other, our hope in the Messiah. Most importantly, God the Father himself is spirit. Spiritual things are real, even though they are not physical. Whatever it was that Adam and Eve took into their bodies that day was real, and it had real consequences. This was when Adam's line came under the rule of Satan and darkness. Here is what Jesus says to Paul on the road to Damascus. "But rise and stand on your feet, for I have appeared to you for this purpose, to make you a minister and a witness, both of what you saw and in what I shall appear to you, delivering you from the people and the nations, to whom I now send you in order to open their eyes, so that they may turn from darkness to light, and from the authority of Satan to God, so that they may receive remission of sins and an inheritance." Adam and Eve gave the authority that Yahweh had given to them to Satan. Satan's rule is a rule of darkness, and unlike our Heavenly Father, Satan does not have good things planned for us. His rule is marked by sickness, sorrow, death, depression, hopelessness, toil. He is a liar and an accuser, and would do anything to keep us from obtaining the inheritance he stole from us. Adam and Eve were sent away from the garden where they had enjoyed a a face-to-face relationship with God every day in the cool of the evenings. They were sent away from the light of God's presence. Read what Jesus, Paul, and Peter teach about God and light. 1 John 1:5. And this is the message which we have heard from him and declare to you, that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. John 8:12. Then Jesus spoke again to them, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. John 12:46. I have come as a light into the world, so that whoever believes on me should not remain in darkness. Ephesians 5:8. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. 1 Peter 2:9. But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people for possession, so that you might speak of the praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Adam and Eve chose to sin and became darkness. They were divided from God, just as God needed to divide the darkness from the light so that darkness could exist. He divided Adam and Eve from his presence so that they would continue to exist. Table 7.2, 1,000-year days. In the first column of this chart, we look at the first day of creation, when God created light and darkness. Likewise, in the first millennial day, the first 1,000 years, we have one major event, the fall from light to darkness.